catalog here, and it was actually a Stampin' Up! Challenge that they had posted for new demonstrators, and using these little sketches, these are all card sketches down in the bottom. Had I been really ambitious, I was wanting to take one of these and turn it into a scrapbooking page, but I just didn't get that far. So I took two of these sketches, and this is on page 2020 of the annual catalog, and I do have catalogs available. If you are local to me and want a catalog, let me know. So this one here and this one here. And I know you probably can't see that, but I'll show you in just a second. So, and then there's lots of stuff online too. And starting on June 5th, they've got this special. It's taken extra 20% off the Stampin' Die bundles. And I believe that when those are bundled together, you already get a discount, and then they're adding an extra 10% off. So that makes that something to look into for sure. And then there's also 10% off on their die cutting machines. So they have a big one and a little one. And I want that mini one because it's super cute, and I think that would be really handy. So let me know if you have questions about that, because that starts June 5th. And also June 5th, and I just posted it, is the Lake Life collection from Close to My Heart. So the one that I'm working with today is the Enjoy the Ride from Close to My Heart. And to be honest, maybe I should have grabbed some Stampin' Up! Products so that I was using some of those, but maybe we just tend to go to what we're familiar with. And so I ended up doing this one. So, and I just loved the colors of this. That was why. And plus I had stuff, but anyway. And yeah, say hello if you're watching and you're out there, so I know who I've got with me today. Okay, and then if you're watching on replay, just, do a replay post. Okay, so I've got this card here. I just kind of took this is a notebook I have that's got some kind of graph paper, the lines in it. And so I did some quick measurements for that. So for this one with the 3 strips of paper, I did 3 or 4 because on the card that I made, I used one to go across. Or you could do ribbon or something else, or a combination. So, and those were cut at 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. And you just pick 3 colors of cardstock. I did matching inks on top. Maybe they wouldn't have to be matching. That's like a tone on tone, but you could do something else too. And then I'm grabbing this stamp set, but you could do whatever stamp set you want. And we're going to do just a little simple stamping. We call that random stamping, and tone on tone. So I just really quickly with this stamp set, because I am going to use some of these, the die cuts that come in here, I a lot of times like to take 2 strips of white paper, and then I will double them up and run them through my die cutter, just so I have extras, so that when I do a project, I can have lots of possibilities of stamping and making the little extra embellishments. And one thing that's nice about getting a stamp set that goes along with your paper now, and I don't see Stampin' Up! Might be different about this, I'm not really sure, but because you will run out of stickers, when you do a project with the paper packet. And as far as I know, this is still available. The last time I looked, the paper packet and sticker sheet and this stamp set and thin cuts was still available on the Stampin' Up. So you go to kitty.stampinup.net. But you will run out of these as you make, your scrapbook layouts or whatever. But if you have this, even with all the scraps of paper you have left, you can still create lots and make extra, ephemera or whatever. So that's just, I like to try to do that. Okay, so what I did with this was I cut a card base out of Bluebird. This is our Bluebird cardstock, and that's still available too, in 24 packs. And I did this at 8 1/2 by 5 1/4, or is it 5 1/2? Like whatever a regular card base is. And then I scored that and folded that. And then here's my 3 strips. So, and then I have that. So I'm going to do an art. You know what I keep doing with Stampin' Up? I keep flipping over the cardstock, because our cardstock is two-toned and their cardstock is not. Although they will be coming out with the two-toned cardstock. So, but I keep doing that out of habit. That was just something I had just was practicing with. I thought that was cute. I'll keep it. I might put that on a card. I grabbed our stamp sets from Close to My Heart. I did just order, I did the bundle of stamps. So I did the Royal, I think, collection. And then I have bought the Lost Lagoon. So I'm starting to, you know, build up my Stampin' Up! Stuff. But in the meantime, I've got Bluebird, Jade, Honey Butter, Rosy, Limeade, and Pumpkin. These were the colors, and I mean, aren't those just gorgeous together? So that's, I mentioned this in my other video, that sometimes when I'm looking at a collection that I really like, if you just grab all of those colors, you can make your own projects based on that color combination because, you know, some artists have already gone through and decided those look nice together. So that's an easy way to do that. I decided to do this is Limeade cardstock, but I stamped in Jade. Actually, I may not have. I didn't. I stamped in Limeade. And this one I stamped in Jade. Okay, I'm going to do Limeade then. I thought I did that differently. Okay. And then the Honey Butter on the Honey Butter and the Rosy on the Rosy. And then I'm going to grab a block or two here and my stamp set. So I think we'll start with the, I don't know. We'll start with the Honey Butter one. And I've got my, this is actually just a cut up chamois. And I did the smaller flower. So I'm going to pull that off my sheet and put it onto a block. And grab my Honey Butter. Now I could put something underneath this, but I really don't think it's necessary. So I am going to just go ahead and, hello Helen. I have Helen on watching today. And so with random stamping, I like to go off the edges. So like if I start here, it's coming off that strip of paper so that it looks random. And then I'm going to turn my stamp so that they're not all exactly lined up the same. So I kind of keep turning my paper is how I do it. And then these are small strips, but I kind of try to think of a triangle as I'm going so that it kind of creates that random pattern, but it's not like a wonky random pattern where you have, you know, some too close together and some far apart. But something like that is good. And you can even come in just on your edges and put like a little one sticking out there and something right there, just so it creates that overall effect. And then I'm going to wipe that off and return this to my sheet. So let me know if you're creating with me. All right, so that one is done. And sometimes it's good to just wipe off your area too, because sometimes there's a little overage there. And I usually like to grab like just a tissue to dry that off too. This is a all-purpose mat from Close to My Heart. I believe Stampin' Up! Has something similar to this. I should have looked at that before I got on, where it's just easy to wipe everything off. Glue comes off of it, inks, whatever. So it's good, and I believe Stampin' Up! Has something like that too. Okay, I'm going to do this longer leaf for this one. I'm going to put that on my block. This one's a little bit more challenging of getting ink on the edges. You want to make sure you don't have ink on the edges of your block so that you accidentally get some on your paper. And because it's like long and skinny, you can have a tendency to grab that. So here, I want it to go in different directions. Let's see. And still keeping my eye on how far apart each thing is. And I even want some to be upside down. And we just keep, so we're basically just creating our own patterned paper, which is great for any projects. Like I said, you could have leftover strips of paper from a collection, but maybe you need one more something or other if you're making a scrapbook page or something, and then you can just make your own paper. And it's amazing how fun it is and how beautiful it turns out. Okay, I'm just gonna wipe that off, and now we'll go to the Rosie. And I'm gonna do this little bit of a bigger, there's a really big flower, but this is small strips, so I didn't want that. So I'm gonna choose this medium-sized flower. Again, sticking that on my block. And I do want to make sure I have the dark side. And Rosie's a little bit hard to tell, but I want to make sure I'm on here. Okay, and so this one is a bit bigger. But I love doing this. I think it's somehow relaxing and fun to me. And then this, you do have to be careful of that you make sure you wipe up, because you will get that on your projects or on your fingers. And I think that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe that off. And wipe off my block or my stamp. Okay, now we're ready. Well, I guess maybe I should stamp a couple flowers. Well, okay. Let's put the card together and then we'll do that. Okay, so I've got these 3 strips, and you can put them in any order that you want. I like to kind of lay them on here first to see my spacing. Okay, and I sometimes use glue, but today I'm just going to use my tape runner. And that's another thing that I'm kind of anxious to try out with Stampin' Up. And I tend to like to do my 2 outside first and try to get that. And then I can fudge the middle one a little bit to balance it out between the 2. And sometimes I'll choose one way or the other, you know, and sometimes it doesn't matter. If I made a little boo-boo, I'll put it where I think it might get covered up. And I'm just eyeballing those. And so there we have that already looking good. Now, this one I'm going to put here, but first I'm going to add, I have this sparkly ribbon from Stampin' Up. It's an iridescent ribbon. I don't know if it actually has a name, but I'm going to just glue it on either side. So I'm just going to trim this off and then add some adhesive to either side of this. Stick that down like so. Wrap it around. Oops, I might have cut that a little bit short, but I think it'll be all right. Whoops, and then I bent it. Oh, shoot. Well, you know what? That's gonna go on this side and hopefully oh, darn it. Okay, hang on. I forgot to trim it down first. Well, that will give me a little bit more room for my ribbon. Okay, I'm just gonna hold it right here and flip it over and trim it. And that also gets rid of my wrinkle. Sometimes mistakes are happy little accidents. Okay, and if you're making comments or anything, I'm sorry, I'm not checking that at the moment. Okay, and now I can trim off that little bit of extra there. Okay, and then I think I can just go ahead and adhere that, and I'm gonna glue over my ribbon spots. Maybe just add a little extra on there. Now this is where I usually like to have my, and I left it in the other room, so I'm gonna have to eyeball it. I usually like my Versamat from Close to My Heart, and Stampin' Up! May have something, or I know we have these, and I think Stampin' Up! Has something like this too. And the reason why I like this is because I can line something up on that grid line. Oh, that's Rosie, my friend Rosie. and then use this to measure. I can put it right there on that grid mark on this side and right there on that grid mark on this side and know that I have that even. I know some people aren't so picky, they'll just eyeball things, and I do sometimes, but I cannot stand when things are wonky. That just drives me crazy and I'll never be happy with it, so I'd rather just take a minute to measure. Okay, so then I have this circle, and then I have, and I could just choose, I have some that are already stamped, but I don't think I have any of the big ones, so I think I need to stamp one of these large guys here. And since it's on the rosy, I might stamp it in the honey butter and then do one of those in green. And since I am gonna do that other card, maybe I'll make a couple of these so that I have them for that other one. And let's do, I can use that one for the other, but maybe I'll do that in orange. Okay, that's the fun of just deciding. I already have one of these, I could just do that quick. I don't know if I wipe that off or not, of just playing around with colors, and I could even do one in blue, could do a blue flower. The other thing that is so interesting is that the Stampin' Up! Inks are so different, whoops, than the Close to My Heart ones. And it takes a little bit of getting used to. And I know some people like to die cut and then stamp, or stamp and then die cut. I really like to die cut and then stamp. It's just my preference. I'm gonna do one of these in this pumpkin, and I might do a second generation in this pumpkin. Sometimes I'll just take, we'll stamp that off once, if I have one, and then do a lighter. We'll see what that looks like. Which is also why I like to have a bunch of these extra, so that I can play a little bit. Oops, sorry, I just bumped my table. There, and then that's just like a little bit lighter, and I can add something to the middle there. Okay, so I wanted to do this rosy color. Here's my stamp set. And hopefully, like, I know if you're a seasoned stamper, if you do a lot of this, then maybe this is all something you're super familiar. I like to get these back on the right way, but that's not happening right now. I'm just going to stick it on there. But if you're not, hopefully maybe you're picking up a few tips along the way. But yeah, the Stampin' Up! Stamps are very, I think I did, no, maybe I didn't, are very, I guess some people say like juicier, they're spongier. And so, and the Close to My Heart ones are not that way. So it's not that, you know, whoops. I must have done that in second generation. Well, I can just do it now. So it's not one that's, you know, better or worse. They're just different, and it's a matter of getting used to them. The one thing I do like about the Stampin' Up! Inks, at first I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't like these. But like I said, I think is partly because I just wasn't, oh, there's a second layer to this. That's why. I think I just wasn't accustomed to them, and so I was getting a little frustrated. But you don't, like ours, you have to do a little bit more work. You got, when I would teach, I would always say, you know, stamp, 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 twist, 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 stamp, 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 you know, and there's this thing here, which this is a little challenging, I will be honest. There's less work with the Stampin' Up! Ones. I mean, you just kind of tap it in there and then go. So in that respect, it's kind of nice. I got that little, okay, now this one is a little challenging because you do have to line it up. And hopefully I got that right, which is always more challenging on, on a Facebook Live. Let's see, I think that's right. But this is again why I kind of like, oh, look at that. Okay, so now I just need a couple greens, I think. Greenery pieces. And I could have done this ahead of time, I guess, but I kind of figured it was good to just do it. Okay, so now we'll do limeade and get a couple of these little guys. So we have some greenery. And I like that this stamp has a lot of texture in it, meaning, or shading. Like some areas are darker than others, you'll see. And so that is really nice because it creates, yeah, depth and interest to it. And then I'm gonna do a few of these. I could do these in jade because that is another color in there. Well, we'll just do limeade since I have it right here. We'll do 2 of these, give us some options. One thing I have noticed too is that the Close to My Heart white daisy paper is whiter than, well now, okay, I say this, and the Stampin' Up! Paper that white paper that I bought is the only thing I ever bought from Stampin' Up! Before now. And it's, it has a little bit of a grayer undertone. I wonder if I have those. Okay, that might do us. And so it drives me crazy. I can't have this white card base and then an off-white that like they have to match for me. And I know that maybe that's crazy, but that's just how my brain works. Okay, that's garbage. Okay, so now we need to stamp a sentiment. And I did You Are the Best on that one. And I think I'll just do that again. So I have this U, and I think on this one, I just put it on both. Let's see, because sometimes you can just lay it out the way you want it. So if I had a grid paper here, I could even just make sure it was super straight, but if I lay it, except sometimes they want to stick to you like that, and then pick it up. And again, maybe I'll grab this so I can just test it. And I did this in the Bluebird. You could do black. I just like to make sure it's straight. I think that looks good. And we're gonna do this so that okay, wipe that off. Let's see, let me take one. Okay, so now we can add this. And I did this flat because I wanted to pop up the flower. Sometimes you have to choose which thing you want to pop up. And then I just want to make sure these words are straight. And then, well, I guess I meant to do one of these big that wasn't. I could do the smaller. That's what I did there. Oh, I didn't do one of those little. We'll do this. Maybe it needs to go the opposite way. Yeah, that'll be fine. A little blue. Wants to. Okay, let me put this down and then I'll figure it out. When Close to My Heart, oh my gosh, what did I do with them now? When Close to My Heart had their, I swore I had them right here, their sale all their stuff that went on sale. I bought a ton of these, the shaker foam and acetate windows. I do have like these to make these, like I can, but the biggest reason why I bought them, and I'm telling you this now after it's all gone, because now Stampin' Up! Or Close to My Heart is no longer, except if you live in Utah. Apparently they're having a sale that you can go to the warehouse. But inside these are pop dots. Look at, these are strips, and then these are squares. So this is the border that you need for the shaker window, but all of this inside, and there's like a bunch of strips of it. So I thought, well, and they were on sale for super cheap. So I thought, well, that's a great way to get a bunch of foam tape. And I know Stampin' Up! Has their dimensionals, which are great, but like I said, it was cheap, and sometimes I just had stuff I needed to use up with like rewards and things I had earned. So that's what I did. And sometimes you gotta cut that that's hanging off. I can do it like that. Maybe I should have turned that. Why is it sometimes these little things are the things that are such a bugger? All right, I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, and then I've got these dots that that's not the right one. Were being sold through Stampin' Up! And I'm just gonna add a few of these. I'll have to go up here with that one because I placed that a little different. And there you have it, all done. And I love the way that turned out. I love the color combination. I love this little bit of sparkle that I added. So you can see they're slightly different, but both of them work well. Oh, I could add a little something to the center there, but I'm not going to do that right now. And then this was another one I had made using patterned paper. So if you don't want to do all that stamping, although I did stamp these, you could do 3 strips of pattern paper. Okay, now we'll quickly make the second one. And it's basically the same kind of idea. I just took 3 strips, and these pieces of paper are a little bit bigger than what I have, but I did the directions that I gave you because I wanted to make sure that I followed through with what I said. Darken the light. And I did do the jade on this one, so I'll do that. So basically this, and I thought, well, I could have just done them all together, but just in case somebody wanted to watch the one and be done with it, that's what I did. So maybe this time I'll do this little guy. How about that? We'll shake it up a little bit here and see how we like this. So again, we're coming in with this random stamping, which is just fun to do. So there's one. I like that. That's a different look. And again, depending on what stamp set you choose, or could end up with a completely different look. And now we're going to go to the rosy with that medium flower. There's my rosy. And again, same thing. These pieces are even smaller. I think that's fine. And then the last one, we'll do the honey butter. I could do that little, well, I'll just do this one. Sometimes I get like, oh, maybe I should do something different. Oops, and I see somehow I got green ink on the back of that. All right, and then this one, and I think we have enough flowers stamped. And again, on the smaller ones, it's a little easier to do the random stamping because it's just a smaller surface. But I have done it where I've done the full 12 by 12 like page full of it. And it's so fun. But you do have to be a little bit more careful as you randomly stamp around your paper. But little ones like that, that's pretty darn easy. Okay, so I got my white card base here. And I've got, now so these papers are just slightly smaller. So you're going to see a little bit of a difference in that. But that's okay. So we're just going to add these randomly, kind of staggered about. And on the sketch, it had the circle kind of going underneath, tucked under part way, and I didn't really like that. So I changed mine up a little bit. I think I'm gonna go over just a little bit here. So I think I kind of like a little bit of a bigger, let's stamp this first. So I did birthday wishes on this one. I think I kind of like the little bit of the bigger paper on there. I didn't realize that when I did it, but so this time I'm grabbing wishes and birthday. Ooh, don't want it upside down. All right. And I am having to, you know what, I'm just gonna grab a bigger block. And I'm just gonna double check to make sure that I'm straight. And see, that's a little bit far away. So I think I'm going to just move that a little closer. All right. Let's see how, I could do the back side of this. It's still a little far away, but I think it'll be fine. Oh, no it won't, because I'm too far off my, you do have to be careful that sometimes there's a little hint of that on here. Let's see if I just put that there. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go over it, see what happens when I'm not being careful. All right, let's go over that and just see if it even shows up. Maybe I can hide it. Well, okay. And I thought I had another one of those, but I don't. But I do have some of these. I don't think that's gonna have quite the impact of the other one. Well, you know what? I'll do it, and then I think I'm just not gonna adhere it down so I can, well, we'll see how it looks. Because I could, after I'm done here, make another one. Okay, so I think I just maybe won't adhere that all the way down. And then I would be adding this guy and one of these. And maybe a little orange. And I could add, the yellow's a little bit yellow on yellow, but I could do that because it's got the white around it. So something like that, maybe because this is a little smaller. And then I would add my dots. I think that's gonna work fine. I'll just do it. We'll just finish it up. And I was going to maybe add in some ribbon to this one, but it just didn't end up working. Let's see if that... This is the thing I struggle with the most, or I mean, just I'm picky about it, as I add all the little arrangements of things. Okay, so I'm going to use these again. And we're just finishing up here. So if you make something, post a picture and show us all. I love to see other people's artwork, how you interpreted something, because you're going to have different paper, a different stamp set, or maybe you have this. And then, but even how you place things or do things is going to be slightly different. So I do love when people share, right? It's how we, sometimes I can't remember how I had something. That's how we, you know, learn from each other and become better. Tuck that underneath like so. And then we'll add, and I think this time I'm gonna do the green there, and maybe a blue right there, and maybe a yellow down there. Okay, so those ended up slightly different, and I could have done like one in the middle of that flower, like a little pink one, like that. That's kind of cute. All right, so that was some simple stamping, and quickly put together a couple of cards. I think they turned out really well. I hope that you enjoyed that and maybe inspired you to create something. And if you do, yeah, share it with me. I'd love to see what you create. And let me know if you have any questions or if I can help you at all. I know, like I said, if you're local to me, I haven't been quite as active locally with my events and things because I've just had a lot going on with the wedding and all that kind of stuff. But I'm still here, so reach out if you need to. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And until next time, bye-bye.